Hey everybody, welcome back to Brainiac Baseball's 1982 Detroit Tigers season replay. We have just completed the month of April, and at the end of every month, I like to take a few minutes and take a look at the standings in the American League and the National League, and go through the league leaders and see how the Tigers are stacking up against the rest of the American League. So that's what we're going to do with this video today. This may not be for everybody. I understand that. If you are into Baseball Mogul, you may find some of these things interesting. And if you're not, that's okay too. We're going to try to be quick about it, of course. And before we delve into the standings, I just want to mention real quick that I did record a game earlier today, the final game of the month, in which the Tigers won 3-0. And during the editing process, the program basically crashed on me once again. So the third time it's already happened this year. I'm going to look into getting a different editing program. So there will not be a video preceding this summary video as I intended, but we'll look at this box score when we get to the first game of May, which will be tomorrow. And then after those two games, to finish off the 4-game series against the Indians, we go home and we'll get back to our robot race in which the winner will eventually win a autograph of a Hall of Fame pitcher. And so I'm excited to give that away. All home games will feature the robot race until we get a winner for that contest. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started with the standings. As you can see here, we have the best record in the American League. Well, we have the most wins. I guess Kansas City, percentage-wise, does have the higher percentage. This is an interesting team. I can't wait to look at them. I guess I just want to take a moment to look at our Detroit Tigers and allow you to take a look. As you can see here, these are the stats for our everyday lineup. And you can see versus both lefties and righties. So this is our totals. And you can take a look and see how your favorite player is doing on Detroit. And of course, we could go in and look at each one of these individually, but I don't think we need to do that, considering we do that just about every game. It is interesting to see, I think, that Reggie Jackson leads the team in home runs with 5, and that is just playing minimal games. I have been basically platooning, even though they're both left-handers, Reggie and John Mayberry in the DH role. I give one of them a shot, and then as soon as they have a game in which they do not get a hit, I put the other one in for the next game. And we've been doing that, and it's been working out pretty well. Actually, John Mayberry has a .438 on-base percentage. He's been walking a ton, getting on base. He hasn't showed any power yet, and he really hasn't drove in many runs. But as a alternate to Reggie Jackson, he seems to fit that role pretty well. And we've been throwing him in at first base occasionally to give Greg Brock a break. Brock has been great at first. He hit his 4th home run in the previous game, so we give him a lot of credit. Ricky Henderson is the player MVP so far this year. He's won the he's won the most individual game, player of the game awards, and so he's at 7 of those. Hatcher is at 4, and then Parrish is at 3, if you're curious so far. Now, one of the things I just did is I sent Bobby Ramos to the minors. He started the game in the 3-0 victory that we had versus Cleveland, and he got a hit, but we've been carrying 3 catchers through the month of April, and I think I would rather have Marty Castillo as our backup catcher because he can play third base for Mickey Hatcher and give him a break. He could also play first. And so what I did was I brought up our best AAA player, and that is Kevin Bass. We'll take a look at him real quick. We got him in a trade last year with Milwaukee. We traded over there. I think Pat Underwood is who we got back. It doesn't show it there. But I believe that is true. And so he has 5 home runs in the minors in the first month of April. And so we've brought him up. he doesn't really have a defensive position. He could play center field, which would be great because then we could move Ricky to left. We could move Dawson, keep Dawson in right, and have Bass play center field. But for now, he's going to be riding the bench, possibly a fourth outfielder, with Glenn Wilson hitting pretty well, but not really giving us much. So maybe Bass can give us a little spark off the bench. At any rate, there's our batters. Taking a look at the pitchers, our bullpen has been fantastic. We did send Keith Comstock down because when Bruce Robbins couldn't get out of the first inning, couldn't even get an out, we actually pulled Bruce Robbins without even getting an out in the first game of the Cleveland series. We had to go to our bullpen, and we used Capizzello, Hume, and Comstock for multiple innings. So we were really short on players for today's earlier game, which, of course, I cannot show you. So I brought up Tim Lahler, who has been pitching really well in the minor leagues, making 5 starts for Detroit. He is a left-hander, so he's going to take over for Comstock momentarily until Comstock gets healthy again. We'll bring Kami back and send Tim Lahler back down. But he is definitely an option for us as a 6th starter, perhaps, if someone gets injured. And, of course, we still have Dan Petrie, who's recuperating on the IL for another 84 days. So our bullpen has been the best part of our team, really. Rucker has not given up an earned run yet through 16 innings pitched. Taking a look at our starters, Robbins had that dreadful game 2 games ago. Uger pitched in the game earlier. He went 5 innings, not giving up a run. He did not pitch well. He gave up several hits and a couple of walks, not striking out anybody. So I don't know. One of these 2 pitchers will likely be the one that gets sent to the minors when Petrie is available. So that is yet to be determined. So that is our staff right now. Our team is doing well. I mean, we do have the most wins in the American League. As far as stolen bases go, I am no longer going to try to steal with Ricky Henderson. He got thrown out in today's game earlier, and now he is 6 out of 15 on the season. So there is no reason for me to steal with him. I don't know why this game does not have him properly rated when it comes to stealing. It shows a 70 to 77% chance whenever we want to have him steal, and he's just not successful. So instead of running ourselves out of every inning, trying to get him to his 130 stolen bases, which is what he had in 1982, I guess we're just going to, take away the green light. So we may not have as many stolen bases as we had last year. I just want to take a couple of minutes here. Let's take a look at the Milwaukee Brewers. Remember, they were the worst team in the American League. They had they were 1-13 or something like that, and now they've won 8 out of their last 10. They're 11-15, and they've kind of changed their lineup a little bit here. Chet Lemon and Jim Paciorek both got injured, and so Gorman Thomas is now in the lineup for the Brewers, as he should be. He did lead. He was the co-leader in home runs in the American League in 1982, with 39 home runs, tied with Reggie Jackson. So he really ought to be in the lineup. He's just not because of having Chet Lemon. You can see here that they have a bunch of no-names, but they have put it together. Looking at their pitching staff, I just wanted to note that Pat Underwood, who we traded over there, is now their closer. So, good for Pat Underwood. I wish we could have re-signed him, but the Brewers did after the trade, and so now he is their closer. The other fascinating team, well, okay, let's take a look at Boston real quick as well. They're 1-9. Now, they were solid, and they are plummeting because they've had 2 very costly injuries. They have Wade Boggs out for another 11 days. Of course, their everyday third baseman. And down here is Dave Stapleton, their everyday first baseman. So that's not going to hurt them too much. because they could put JT, former Tiger Jason Thompson, over at first base. They don't lose much there. However, they had to call up Steve Hammond to play third, and Lachelle Tarver moves into the DH role, which was previously occupied by Jason Thompson. So a team that has an amazing lineup of hitters, really all of them potential all-stars, are hurting a little bit right now. So I'm not going to count them out. It's too early for that, but they're definitely reeling from that. And they are suffering an injury to starting pitcher Danny Parks, who is on the verge of coming back. He'll be back after the May 1st game and get back into the rotation. So that will put Al Nipper back into AAA. So just interesting to note that they just really, really are suffering from injuries and are struggling now. Now, the team that I find the most fascinating is the Kansas City Royals. This team is absolutely crushing it offensively. Yeah, look at that. I mean, Willie Wilson batting .398, Rance Mulliniks .418, George Brett .433, Willie Aikens .340. Notably, all lefties. Also, former Tiger Gary Hancock batting .287 with 4 home runs. If you're a left-hander in this lineup, you're hitting really well. And I wonder if that, I mean, it has to be due to the ballpark effects that I manipulated. And so will they keep this up? Will we have some records broke this year? That is the question. I hope it doesn't. I hope everything, returns to the means. That would be ideal. But also I'm kind of curious to see what happens, and I can't wait for the Tigers to get to Royals Stadium. Their pitching staff is really struggling because of that. I mean, look at this. Bill Paschal with an 8.83 ERA, almost a run in an inning pitched. So he's off to a bad start. Raleigh Eastwick's their closer. He's got 7 saves. He looks pretty good. So they don't have any injuries or anything. Rich Gale hasn't even pitched as a 5th starter yet. So you take a look there. As you can see, their team ERA is almost 5. Who is this? Texas is over 5. Our team ERA is 2.89, and that is basically because of Rosie, Morris, and the bullpen. So we're looking pretty good. I mean, at some point, and we know how this, if you play baseball mogul, you know what I mean when I say that eventually it all comes back around, and it will even itself up. Our hitters will start hitting again. Our pitchers will start giving up more runs, and it'll be interesting to see which comes first and how we fare when we have to deal with a little adversity. Let's take a look at the National League real quick. Chicago and St. Louis are tied for the lead in the East, while Houston has a 1.5 game lead in the West. Anything really sticking out here that's interesting? Wow, the Astros have a 2.48 team ERA, and that's because they have Nolan Ryan. They have J.R. Richard, Joaquin Andujar. Joe Niekro hasn't even pitched yet. Their 4th starter is Billy Smith, who was a career minor leaguer. He did have one season where he pitched. It made like 13 starts or something like that. But anyway, their closer is now Dave Smith. They just moved him into that role. Moving out Joe Sambito, who's only crushing it. They are playing in the Astrodome, which is a cavern. And I wish we could talk more about the Astrodome. And maybe we will try to come up with a reason to have a discussion about the Astrodome in one of our future games. So there you go. Taking a look at the National League. All of the East is almost at 500 or better, while the bottom half are more. The bottom 4 teams in the West are all under 500. So anyway, just some interesting things there. Let's skip ahead and go right to the leaders. Hopefully the American League will come up. It is now. We're going to switch over to the American League real quick. Okay, so here is the batting leaders for the American League. There's your top 25. We got 2 Tigers in there. George Brett leading with .433 at age 28. Pretty solid. You go right down the list here. The Shooty Babbitt. We love Shooty Babbitt. We got Rusty Kuntz. I mean, look at all the Kansas City Royals there in the top 10. Are there any just outside? No, but there is 25 players who are still batting over 300. So that's fairly interesting. After the first month of the season, that's maybe a little abnormal. And again, I tend to wonder, is it because of the ballpark effects that I manipulated? Okay, let's take a look at let's just look at bats. We're just going to get through this real quick. Andre Dawson leading our team in at-bats. I would not have thought that. We're looking at just offensive categories. Doubles, George Brett, all Kansas City. Tigers do not have a player with even 6 doubles. Grounding into double plays. Greg Brock, not Lance Parrish. You would think, I think Parrish was in the top 10 last year, and he's not even on the board here. So that's good. I think he's striking out more. That's actually the problem. Extra base hits. George Brett with 17. No Tiger on the list. Again, looking at only offensive categories, here's hits. Mickey Hatcher with 34 hits, just outside the top 10, and it's all Kansas City at the top. And Butch Davis in the top 10 as well. Gary Hancock down there. Good for Gary Hancock. We like him. He was actually, a really good player and pretty solid, and I kind of missed him a little bit. Hit by pitch. Ricardo Sainz, the youngster for the Mariners, has 4, and not too many otherwise. Home runs. Let's take a look at the homers. Here is the top 25 in home runs in the American League. Joe Lefebvre, The Bull, Greg Luzinski, and Gary Renicky all have 7 home runs. Tom Brookins is a dick. He's got 6. Bobby Grich, last year's American League MVP, Ron Hassey, Steve Lubitich, Kevin Mitchell. He finished 3rd in home runs last year. We got Randy Reddy in there for the Brew Crew. And Don Baylor and a bunch of others at 5. We'll round out the top 10. Reggie Jackson in there, Greg Brock, Ricky Henderson showing some early pop. Ricky Henderson, is he the youngest player? No, Jim Wilson at 21. And then it would be Ricky, the 2 youngest players in the American League among the home run leaders. So I guess if Ricky can't steal, I'll take the home runs. And we have him batting cleanup because he's getting on base, he's driving in runs, he leads the team in RBI. Okay, moving on. Intentional walks, curious. Parrish has 2. Trammell had 1 in the game earlier today. But ultimately, it's just 6 guys with 2. Joe DeSa of Oakland, that's weird. Okay, so moving on to on-base percentage. Rance Molyneux, 472. The only Tiger on that list is Lance Parrish. He's got a high batting average. He doesn't walk much, but he's walking enough to at least get on the OBP top 25. Let's see here. Here is the on-base and slugging. Parrish is on there. 4 batters still over 1,000, including Ron Hassey and Joe Lefebvre, and a couple of Kansas City hitters. So not much of a surprise there. We're going to move over to RBI. George Brett is absolutely crushing it. 38 ribbies in 25 games. That is one hell of a start, and definitely the MVP through April. Ricky's right up there, as I mentioned. He's got 22. Thought he had 26, but 22 is solid. Mickey Hatcher has 16, batting in the 3rd spot. So pretty good numbers there for the Tigers. Run scored. A couple Tigers on the list, but there's all Kansas City players at the top. So they're clearly having the biggest run production in the American League. Sacrifice hits. Doyle and Fiala. Sweet Lou's got 1. Sacrifice flies. Oh, wow, Paul Dade hit a grand slam against us for Toronto. He's got 4 sacks. Okay, let's see here. Anything else offensively, slugging in general? Brett is at 702. Parrish is right around 500. Steals. Okay, here we go. Top 25 in steals. Look at this. Omar Marino, you son of a gun. 21 out of 22 through the first month of the season. Yeah, he's on pace to get over 100. I don't think I've ever seen a computer, an AI team have 100 stolen bases in a year, but I'd love to see that happen. Ricky's got 7. He is 7 out of 17 now. I mean, that is an automatic out on the base pass, so we got to take him out of there. Andre Dawson's got 3. Most of that has just been missed hit and runs for Detroit. Tommy Brookins has got 4. And a lot of the names that you see on here are the same ones we see have seen in the first 3 seasons that we've done this sim. So, all right. What else is there to look at here? Triples. Let's see triples. Oh, Gibby's got 3. He had 1 in today's game. And Ricky's got 3. Andre Dawson 2. So you would expect to see that in Tiger Stadium. What batter is striking out the most? On the Tigers, it's Kirk Gibson, who's got 23. He's off to a terrible start. He showed some signs of breaking out, but so far he is striking out at a high clip. Danny Tartable, the 19-year-old, you might expect for Toronto, has 28 through the first month of the season. Who walks the most? Oh, Dave Bergman. Yeah, he takes a lot of pitches. That's true. Ernie Witt had 4 walks in a game against Detroit. For us, it's Greg Brock and Ricky Henderson, which makes a lot of sense. They both have very high eye ratings. Okay, so that's going to do it for the batters. Let's take a look at the pitchers. We're just going to go in order here. Complete games. You son of a bitch. Frank Tanana's got 5 complete games for California. He had a terrible year last year, going 7-11, and he is coming out of the gate hot. Morris has 1. That was the complete game shutout to start the season against the Yankees. Let's take a look at ERA. Oh, wow. I did not know that. Dave Rozema is number 1 in ERA with a 2.29, and Jack Morris is number 3. You got the 2 young Yankees on there, Roger Schlegel, Stefan Weaver, Matt Keogh, El Presidente, Bob Ojeda, Frank Tanana, Dennis Leonard, and John Matlack. And you can see the rest of the top 25 right there with your own eyes. So that's good. I mean, it makes sense. We have the lowest ERA in the American League. To be leading the ERA title makes sense. Okay, games pitched. Yeah, I knew this was going to be all Tigers. We have really, really overdone it with our bullpen. As I mentioned, Comstock and Dave Patterson have already been sent down to bring up some reinforcements to try to keep from over pitching our relievers who have done so well. So we'll have a shuttle to AAA and back. Grounding into double play induced. Jim Clancy, 12. Luis Leal of the Blue Jays as well with 9. Bryn Smith has 6. Uger, human relief, wow. And Jack Morris, they're all on the list for grounding into double plays. Let's take a look. What else is important here? Hit batters. Who hit the most batters? No Tigers. There's a group there at 3. If you want to take a look who the headhunters are. Home runs allowed. Who's given up the most jacks? Oh, Larry McCall. That makes sense. 13 thus far. Uger's given up 7. Dave Rozema, despite leading the league in ERA, has 5. Innings pitched. No Tigers on that list. That's because there are teams who are going with a 4-man rotation. The leader is that son of a bitch, Frank Tanana. Okay, let's see here. None of this really interests me. Outfield assists, we didn't talk about fielding at all. Odabe for the White Sox and Richie Zisk have 4 outfield assists. No Tigers in the list. Okay, skipping all of that. Quality starts. Jack and Rosie both have 4, but the leaders are John Denny of Cleveland and Stefan Weaver of the Yankees. And continuing, runners thrown out. Who has thrown out the most runners as a catcher? Oh, well, Lance Parrish has 4. Bobby Ramos has 1. He's in AAA now. Yeah, so that's something we're not good at. Ron Hasse and Ed Putman, former Detroit Tiger, are leading the American League with 11. Okay, back to pitching stats here. Saves. Who is leading in saves? Victor Cruz of Cleveland. We just saw him earlier today. You didn't see him, but he was there, I tell you. And he has yet to give up a run in relief. And he's got 9 saves so far. And our lefty-righty combination of Weaver and Rucker have 4 and 3 saves so far this season. So that seems to be working out for us, at least so far through April. Who has the most shutouts? Frank Tanana. You son of a bitch. He has 3. Jack's on there, as I mentioned. He had the opening day shutout over the Yankees. I don't care about starts. Strikeouts pitched. Frank Tanana. Yeah, I mean, whatever. What are you going to do? Jack's on the list at 23, but we are not a strikeout team, at least for our starters. Our relievers seem to get the job done, but this is not a strength of ours. And any free agent we sign in the future that is a starter, we'll definitely have that in the repertoire. Okay, let's take a look here. Anything else that we want to know about? I guess walks per 9. Yeah, Rosie's been giving up more walks this year than his previous 2 seasons, but Randy Jones of Baltimore has been the most accurate so far. So that's going to do it for the American League. We're just going to take a quick swipe through the National League, and then we'll wrap this up for today. Taking a look here at batting average for the National League. Keith Drumright, all-star for the Cubbies, batting .347. You'll see here that Keith Moreland, who was traded from Houston, to the Dodgers, is among the leaders. You can see here he was, oh yeah, it's right there. It shows Houston. So anyway, you can look down the list here, see if there's anybody that's interesting. Rick Peters, former Detroit Tiger, on there. The great Tony Gwynn, who was the Rookie of the Year last season for the Padres, is on the list. A lot of big names on there. That's very cool. Let's take a look at home runs in the National League. Jeff Burrows signed with the Cubbies after being released by Baltimore, and he's got a 2 home run lead over Mike Easler, Mookie Wilson, and Joel Youngblood. And some other big names in there. Dave Winfield, Jack Clark, Dewey, Michael Jack Schmidt on Houston, Ken Griffey Sr., and Mad Dog Bill Madlock, and Dave Stegman, who just got his contract extended by the Cubbies. Okay, let's take a look at RBI and stolen bases, and then we'll look at a couple of pitching categories. RBI, going along with the home runs, is Jeff Burrows. Michael Jack Schmidt and Gary Matthews both have 20 for Houston. So they're driving in some runs in the Astrodome. And Kirby Puckett on the list at the bottom there. And Steve Kemp, former Tiger, right there. Stolen bases, this is the National League. Okay, so maybe nothing as, no numbers as high as Omar Marino, but they do have 6 that have 10. Bob Bob Denier, Gary Reedus, Kim Allen, who was traded over from Seattle, Eric the Red Davis, actually Eric the Giant Davis, I guess, Wally Backman, and Jose Moreno, with Timmy Raines on there. I mean, this is a who's who of the fastest guys of the 80s. Gene Richards, Lonnie Smith, Rudy Law, Brett Butler, Ozzie Smith, Bob Baylor had big numbers. So that'll be curious to see how that plays out, who wins for the most stolen bases. Okay, we're going to look at... we didn't look at the win totals for the American League. That's dumb. We'll take a look at that momentarily. Okay, so let's take a look at pitchers' ERA in the National League. We have Mike Krukow of the Cubbies leading the American League. And as we mentioned, there's so many Houston pitchers that are crushing it. Notably, no Nolan Ryan on this list. As you take a look at the top 25 for the National League. Let's take a look at wins in the National League. Dan Warthen of Pittsburgh has 6, with Mike Krukow and Rick Ownby and Scott Sanderson all with 5. So, interesting. Okay. Strikeouts pitched in the National League. There we go. Nolan Ryan, 48. J.R. Richard, 49. Bert B. Holmbley, 11 with 44. Roger Clemens, 38, but he's out for a while, right? He's going to be out for 34 days with a broken collarbone. And you can see the other leaders there, including Mario Soto. Okay, and then saves. Steve Bedrosian, Bedrock, and Bob James both have 5. Jesse Orozco, Joe Sambito, Al Holland, blah, 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 blah. All right, let's take a look at the, let's go back to wins, and let's go back to the American League real quick. There we go. Dennis Leonard of Kansas City. Is he 7-0? He is off to a 7-0 start. He has as many wins this season as he did all of last year in the strike-shortened season. And I believe Dennis Leonard was out of baseball by 1982, or maybe it was 1983. We've talked about this before. So he's just living on borrowed time, putting up some solid numbers for Kansas City. Jack's up there with 5, and Dave Rosema and our lefty closer setup man has 3 as well. That's Dave Rucker. So, okay, guys. Well, that I think will do it for today. We are going to come back tomorrow with Game 1 of of May. We'll wrap up these 2 games against the Indians, go back home against the Brew Crew, and we've got the robot race coming back. So I know it's been a lot of fun for everybody. I enjoy doing that. Like and or subscribe if you're finding this video out of context. We have replayed the 1980 and the 1981 Detroit Tigers season already. They have separate playlists on the Brainiac Baseball Card Breaks homepage. Also, we have a playlist for the 1982 season. You can feel free to jump in here on May 1st or go back and view some of the games if you like. So that's going to do it. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you tomorrow.